The key to success in any sport in the world is just one thing, and that is consistency. If we grab a little stone and we shoot it in the wall, we try to press it super hard with our arms, it's not going to break or not going to make any kind of change. But if every single day one drop of water goes to the same spot for 15 years, the hole will be made in the stone. So the consistency is number one key for success in any sport, especially in water polo. Today I want to speak a little bit how to never miss a practice and what kind of the system I have used and multiple other players have used for keeping that consistency up high and really not missing any practice ever. So first of all, we're going to start explaining with two types of the schedules, which is fixed and variable. So as you can understand, variable is something that is changing, fixed is something that is not changing. So we're going to put an example of the baby that is crying for an ice cream and the reaction from the parents, and how does that change the effect that baby will have. So let's say that the first day the baby starts crying and is crying for an ice cream, and it cries for 15, 20, 30 minutes, for an hour, and then parents give the ice cream to baby because it's crying and it's so annoying, so they cannot listen to it anymore, so they just give it ice cream. The next day the baby will remember subconsciously when parents gave the ice cream after how much time, so the baby will cry all the way until, let's say, 1 hour, and then it will extend for 15, 20, 30 more minutes until the parents say again, okay, here's an ice cream after 2 hours of crying. So now we already made it a variable schedule that sometimes we give it ice cream, sometimes we don't. And then every other time when the baby wants an ice cream, the baby will cry until it gets an ice cream. On the other side, if it happens only one time that the baby is trying to get an ice cream by crying, and the parents don't give the ice cream for 1, 2, 3 hours, then the day after, baby isn't going to be thinking, if I cry, I'm going to get an ice cream. And it's very simple. So we want to put the baby on a fixed schedule. So for what reason is this important in our world? Is because we want to put ourselves on fixed schedule regarding missing practices. So let's say one day the player feels tired and it's really hard to go to practice, and then for some reason the player decides not to go to practice after uh, they feel really tired. And that happened one day. The second time when it happened, the player went to practice, but still the player was thinking, should I go or no? And then the next time, again, it happens that you don't go to practice because you're tired. So right away, you're putting yourself on a variable schedule, and anytime when you're feeling tired, you are subconsciously thinking, should I actually stay home? And that also gives you an option to stay home or to go to practice. On the other side, if you put yourself on a fixed schedule and you just tell yourself, no matter what is happening, I'm going to go to practice. Doesn't matter how much tired I am, how much I have to study and do all of the other things. You will have time for that, definitely, but you don't miss practice. So whenever you have some different factors that are affecting you not to not feel super well rested and super willing to go to practice, you are still on fixed schedule, and no matter what, you go to practice. This makes it really simple for you to be an athlete because there is only one option there. So there is no excuses, there is no second thoughts, that whenever you have practice, you go to do the practice. In this way, you keep your consistency on a high level, and that will allow you to really go far in this sport. On the other side, I want to explain you a little bit of the consequence of not being consistent. No matter how talented you are and how much you like to play water polo or anything else, if you are not consistent or if you are missing practices, there is simply no way that you're going to be able to succeed in this sport. First of all, because water polo is such a specific thing, water polo and swimming both they are in the water, and if we are simply not spending enough time in the water, we are not used to that environment because it's not natural for human beings to be in the water. So we are doing something against our nature, and if we are out of the pool for 7 days, our body already starts getting used to the dry places, and it's really hard to go back to your firstly shape in water polo. So it's really easy to get out of the form in this sport. It's very much different in soccer, basketball, baseball, all of the other sports. So water polo by nature needs to have 100% consistency. The next part is that you need to understand that in the USA, we are practicing about 4 times a week with our club in the age from 10 to 14. 4 times a week with the club is the max that we are going to. And that by itself is not enough because we should be practicing 6 times a week, but already the system is forcing us to practice only 4 times, which means that if you miss one practice, you're reducing 25% of the practices for 1 week. If you accumulate that over 2 years, means that you miss 25% of the practices in 2 years. And that amount of work is going to be really hard to make up. So I will say it one more time. If you want to succeed in this sport, you need to be consistent. To be consistent means not to miss any practice ever. And I understand that there will be some circumstances when you will be forced to because you got injured, because something extraordinary happened, and that is fine. But these kind of events are happening one time in half year. They're not happening one time a week. Next part is that you should be able to manage to finish all of your schoolwork around the practice time and around the games time. Because you do have enough time during the day to finish all of the school obligations. If you think and you find yourself that you are not able to manage all of it, I want you to open your phone and see how much time you're spending daily on your phone, because I'll tell you 100% that is where the solution will be. The day is long enough to manage all of the obligations if you go to elementary school and you go to practices, and that kind of discipline is going to help you a lot in the time when you're supposed to go to college and be a student athlete with a full-time as a full-time student and a full-time athlete. At that moment it will be easier to manage if you start earlier. So what you want to do is you want to put yourself on a fixed schedule, which means that you never give an option to yourself to miss practice unless some extraordinary things are happening. And if you put yourself on a variable schedule, you will always be giving yourself a second thought. Oh, should I go to the practice or should I not? I want you to cut that completely and make it simple for yourself. I will go to practice no matter what. And this over years, when it accumulates, is going to make a tremendous difference between what kind of player you became and what kind of player you could have became if you didn't go to practice every single time. Stay consistent, and thank you very much.